Apple pie, apple pie. Hello, Catherine. Yes. What are you doing today? I'm going to the market to buy some apples, to make the famous apple pie. I promised you a long time ago. Am I coming with you, if you want? So, meet at 10 a.m., on the market square. Deal. I finish my cup of coffee. I get ready. I went down the stairs 4 by 4. It's a Saturday. I've always loved Saturdays and hated Sundays. For some reason that I still ignore till now, but I think it's most probably related to the hobby of sweet laziness, and that Sunday is followed all will be Monday. No exception. The weather is nice and I have the feeling that a good day is ahead of me. Once in the street, I smell the traders in the street and especially the croissants from the bakery on the corner. I rushed to the bus stop where there were already a lot of people, a teenager with his scooter, a group of punk tattooed from head to toe, all dressed in white and not black to my surprise. Tattoos, as our neighbor used to say, are walking and public scars. They looked like a group of angels going to funerals to help families and the dead get into the mood. Everything becomes a commodity, everything is sold and everything is bought, even with feelings, and especially feelings. It's free, no need for a special offer, very easy to pretend to love instead of really loving. It's faster and less complicated, so it's quick and ready to go and / or ready to eat. Hey, yes you, the society of consumption. How far do you want to take us? Yes, this is you I'm talking to. Don't pretend you're innocent, don't pretend you don't understand anything. You're stupid, yes, but only when you feel like it. You perfectly master the art of theater with improvised masks adapted to each situation, and anyway, you plead innocent. Junk food, isn't it you? Force feed the ducks to put your foie gras on the well-decorated tables of all the restaurants in the world. Prestige, yes, that's it. Another disease that will be the cousin Benjamin of the superlatives virus. There were mothers with their babies and strollers to go to the park. Children, do you like the sun? Enjoy it. Soon there will be no more. You will also be buying it soon in chocolate or vanilla artificial flavor in supermarkets. There was a tall sportsman with his basketball, who had a lost look. He was probably thinking about his next game and the competition with the other team. Besides, I've always wanted to know who invented this competitive nonsenses. Why should we always be the best, the biggest, the smartest, the most interesting, the richest and the strongest? So who will be the shortest, the ugliest, the poorest, the most unhappy, the most clumsy? Why learn if you are already perfect? And what's the point of being perfect? Have you ever seriously thought about this handicap of being perfect? For which there is no cure, no therapy. The greatest misfortune of all misfortunes. Yes, I know. I allow myself to use the superlative here only because it is for a good cause that is nothing other than to denounce perfectionism. Anyway, let's go back to our subject. Someone should explain to me this obsession with superlatives in life, or better yet, they should be removed from grammar books, to the delight of the students, and I would be crowned the sleeping beauty who refused to kiss Prince Charming and who preferred to save the students of the land from superlatives. Believe me, it's more dangerous than a virus. I got on the bus. Usually I take the 26 to go to the marketplace. Today it is marked that the 4 is replacing it. That should be fine, I thought to myself. Anyway, it was always my lucky number in college, but that's another story. The only empty seat I could find was behind the driver and next to a gentleman who must have been in his 60s. The bus resumed. The heat was terrible and it smelled the gasoline. My neighbor was still talking on the phone and indirectly I found myself straining my ears to forget the heat and the smell. He said, "It's 33, Old Wall Street. And it's a dead end that goes down." Yes, yes. No. The 33, not the 23. Yes, that's it. He opens the main door and he goes up to the second floor. He forces the small window which gives on the corridor. He enters on the tips of the feet very slowly, preferably without making any noise. The black cat Zorro is always sleeping. The grandmother hears nothing and she is watching TV without sound. He enters the second room on the right, which is the only bedroom. In the white yellowish closet, he will find a lot of bills of $500 and some old jewelry. Wait, and he kills the grandma with a vase on her head, on his way out, and then, and only then, couldn't take it anymore. I'm sitting next to a criminal, a serial killer. Help me. But apparently no one.
Freeing the beautiful black woman, the letter was in a red envelope leaning against the china vase on the white table next to the staircase. too bright for her to ignore its presence or briefly wonder what it was about and who it was from. She mentally went through a list of her friends who could actually sit down to write a letter instead of phoning or badging into her home and came up with a few names. With 1,000 thoughts whirling in her head, Tamisa briefly forgot about the letter and instead looked right through it, debating whether a shower or just slouching on the sofa in the lounge would be the perfect ending to the dreadful day she had just had. The more she thought about going to work the next day, the more appealing the prospect of drinking herself to oblivion seemed. No matter how she looked at it, the measly figure they paid her was simply not enough for the workload she had or the stress they put her through. She didn't think that she could endure her boss' subtle sexist remarks or the way he always got inappropriately too close whenever he was talking to her for another year. It was about time she opened her own firm instead of keeping it safe in the 9-to-5 loop. Drumming her fingers on her briefcase in thought, she was considering a brandy, then she remembered something and snorted. If she didn't suspect that she was pregnant, a stiff drink would be exactly what she needed. On the floor above where she was, she correctly guessed that Sean was playing tag again with Temuka, their 4-year-old son. She rubbed a hand across her forehead. There was no way that she was going to slip into the bedroom unnoticed, and she wasn't sure she was ready to smile at anyone as yet. Might as well drink cold water since alcohol if off the table, she thought, grabbing the envelope and heading to the kitchen. She turned it over to see who it was from and stopped in her tracks. Grandma Louise. She had feasted on the letters that her grandma had left for her in the box, so where was this one coming from? She quickly changed her direction, deciding to sit in the lounge after all. As soon as she sat down, she pried the envelope open and started reading, "To my granddaughter Tamisa. I can write you words of love and poems from the time in which I loved with a burning fire, but love isn't everything that I was, and if I don't show you the other parts of me, you will never know your history. Without that, the world can be an unbearable place, and changing it without knowing the route will be futile. I'll tell you of a time when I was just Louise, a woman with a lot of fears but cursed with thoughts and wisdom way beyond my years. A time before I became the grandma who made cookies and knitted scarves, but this is more than just my story or the way I saw the world. It's about womanhood and the movements surrounding it. I have always thought that there was beauty in the way the sun shines. The way its rays illuminate the whole earth, flowers bloom in its wake, the sweet smell of rain on dry clay, and when photons collide with other elements of nature, a rainbow appears. A beautiful array of colors that serves as a symbol of hope, hope for a better future, something I'm desperately clinging onto because without it, I'm just like a dim star in the expansive universe that sees only what it wants to see. The sun is a beautiful thing, but it overshadows me. I'm always present in its light, forever perched up in the blue sky, but I am only seen in the night time when most of humanity sleeps. To the earth, the sun is a generous and selfless giver, but it burns Mercury mercilessly, and from Neptune, the castaway, it withholds its warmth. Society is the sun in my life, drifting from intense heat to the biting cold of indifference. I'm neither Mercury nor Neptune, I'm simply a star that gets to experience the different treatments the sun measures out. There are no constants in my life except fear and the constant weighing of expectations on my shoulders. This is what my youth and part of my adulthood has been like. On the outside, I'm a glowing star that men enamored by daughters of Eve spend hours writing about, wishing they could pluck me out of the night sky to hand over to their beloved, but never taking a moment to consider whatever it is that I desire for myself. A beautiful woman was born to be loved, but when beauty is something that the beholder thinks they deserve even at the expense of the one who has it, then the woman ceases to be human and becomes a mere object of adoration whose feelings can be ignored at will. I am the beautiful and black woman that they have objectified. In subtle ways, they force my descendants and I to live up to an impossible standards of ideality. They cover their perverted desires with humor, passing on snide remarks as if it's a joke, and use technology to create images of women that do not exist in the real world, then measure my worth relative to that image. I am mocked for not having a certain body.